사랑하는 경원국의 축복 가정 식구 여러분.
In particular, VIPs, peace ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen from throughout the second sub-region and Korea. Today, I would like to reflect on the centenary of the March 1st movement, and as we look forward to the next centenary, the next century, where Korea can make a great stride forward, it is my hope that Korea can solve the many challenges it faces, and that will be the theme of my address today. The March 1st movement began through Christian leaders and students. Their heart was that Korea is protected by God, and as these students and Christian pastors shouted for Korea's independence, their hope was that this nation could fulfill an important central role in God's providence. That was the motivation behind their passionate efforts. However, all the patriots, all of the leaders in the North and the South who shed their precious blood for the independence of this nation could not find common ground in terms of ideology. Although this nation was liberated and obtained its independence, Korea was divided into the communist North and the democratic South. How is it possible that a nation protected by God could allow an ideology like communism, which emerged from a Christian cultural milieu, claiming that God had been dead, take over more than half of this nation, of this peninsula? And as the communist and democratic forces were at odds with one another, the former USSR was dreaming of communizing the entire globe and attempted to conquer the Korean peninsula. Korea was a small nation, unknown to most citizens of the world. How is it possible that in a nation unknown to most global citizens, 16 member nations of the UN sent their youth to give the ultimate sacrifice by shedding their blood in defense of democracy in this nation? From ancient times, since the early days, this nation has been prepared as the chosen people by heaven. However, the people of this nation remained unaware of this truth. Originally, God the Creator created heaven and earth in His image. From the mineral world, we can find plus and minus. In the plant world, we see stamen and pistil. In the animal world, we see male and female. And lastly,
인간 조상이 될 수
God
있는
created the first human ancestors, men and women. He created them to be the first human
그러나
ancestors.
인간에게는
However, contrary to the rest of creation,
하나님께서는
God gave human beings
책임을
a
주셨습니다.
special portion of responsibility.
스스로가
This responsibility
하나님이 보시기에
consisted of growing so that they could grow and reach
최종
maturity, become
하나님의
fruitful,
축복을 받는 자리까지
and receive God's blessing.
알아서
God's wish was for the first human ancestors to grow and out of their own volition
이 얼마나
reach maturity.
한없는
How
은사인데
great is this grace?
이들은
Unfortunately,
자기를 돌아보게 되었고
the first human ancestors became self-centered, and allowing
오늘날의
this
타락한
desire
세계를
for self-centered,
만들었습니다.
motivated by self-centeredness, to consume them, they fell. And as a result, today's fallen world emerged. God is omnipotent and omniscient. The beginning and the end must be the same.
영존하신 하나님께서는
God is eternal.
당신의
Hence,
창조 원칙을
God
뒤엎을 수는
cannot
없습니다.
go against the very principles He established to create heaven and earth.
타락한 인류를 버려둘 수 없어.
Unable to abandon fallen human beings,
복귀
God initiated the long
시작하십니다.
and painful history of the providence of restoration through indemnity.
이스라엘이라는 선민을 택하여
And God raised the chosen people of Israel from the individual
민족을
all the
형성하여
way until a national foundation could be established.
나오기까지
Until such a national foundation could be established, the history of the providence of salvation through indemnity was so arduous that it took 4,000 biblical years. And for the first time in 4,000 years, God sent the promised Messiah and Savior, Jesus Christ, on this earth.
그러나 어떻게
Unfortunately, what happened to Christ?
예수님을 탄생시킨 마리아
Neither Mary, who gave birth to Jesus, nor the people of Israel at the time, or even the Jewish leaders at the time, understood the true nature of Jesus' mission, His true identity, the purpose of His advent. They did not become the environment and the foundation upon which Jesus could complete the purpose of His advent. Having waited 30 years, Jesus embarked on a public mission of 3 years, and eventually, having nowhere to stand, Jesus had no choice but to walk the lonely and painful path of the cross. Jesus Christ, as He laid on the cross, prophesied that He would come again. And Christians today believe that we are saved through the blood that Christ shed on the cross. However, this is an idea that is distant from heaven's circumstance and heaven's heart. Christians today need to realize that the true purpose of Jesus' advent was not crucifixion on the cross. First, we must reflect on heaven's situation, heaven's heart, but also delve into the self-centeredness that is consuming today's world. A self-centeredness. I'm sorry, please excuse my cough.
인간들이 만들어온 굴레 속에
However, due to various
하나님을 바로
systems
알 수는 없었습니다.
that are built by self-centered human
그리하여
beings, it is
많은
difficult
실수를
to
했습니다.
fathom the true identity and the true
어떻게
depth of
하나님을
heaven's
믿는
mission.
기독교 기반에서
And many
하나님이
mistakes have been
주었다
made over the course of
공산주의가
human
나올
history.
수 있습니까?
How is it possible that communism, which claims that God is dead, could emerge from a Christian cultural milieu?
반성해야 합니다.
This is something that we all need to reflect and perhaps repent for.
예수님께서는
Jesus Christ
다시 오마하셨습니다.
prophesied his second coming,
예수님을 십자가로 내몬
and
이스라엘 민족은
the people of Israel who did not understand the essence of Jesus' advent, the purpose of his advent, and the essence of his mission, had to endure tremendous indemnity, historical indemnity, going through 2,000 years of human history without a nation to call their own, and suffering,
아직도 그들은
where 6 million Jews were mercilessly and horrendously massacred in World War II.
얼마나 하늘이 보시기에
From heaven's
안타까운
vantage point, how miserable and how regrettable is this
타락한 인류를 놓고
with regards to fallen human beings.
항남복귀 구원 섭리를
Heaven has led the history of providence for the salvation of humanity.
당신의
And
창조 이상은
because
기필코
human beings
완성을 해야
were
하는
fallen, and since heaven's mission must be fulfilled at all costs
여러 면에서
in various aspects,
그 책임을 할 수 있는
heaven has raised
내가 알기에 강릉은
from what I know, Gangneung is a place with such a beautiful, clean air. But on the stage, I don't know, the air is maybe,
미세먼지가 있는지
I don't know
모르겠습니다.
whether there's a bit of fine dust in the hall.
예수님께서
Jesus
다시
Christ
오마하셨고
prophesied that he would come again and come again to host the marriage wedding of the Lamb.
그렇다면은
Therefore,
기독교는
when looking at
언제
Christianity's point of view, the main question is when, where, and how will the bride of Christ appear, the only begotten daughter.
하늘은
Heaven,
믿을 수 없는 인간을 두고는
with regards to human beings who cannot be relied upon
구원 섭리
to
역사의
complete heaven's
완성을
providence.
볼 수 없기에
And since
당신은
heaven's providence cannot be completed through fallen human beings alone,
찾아
heaven
세우십니다.
has searched for and raised a new chosen people. And
400년에
in
있었던
400 BCE,
한시 왕조입니다.
the king of the Han tribe, a new people were chosen.
한민족
And
가운데서
from among the people
기독교 기반을
of
통한
Korea, through the Christian foundation in 1943, the only begotten daughter was born on the earth.
어떻게
How is it possible
해방과 더불어
that together with the liberation of Korea, the undesired
민족 간의 전쟁이 일어났습니다.
war between brothers, between
미국은 소련과 만반의 준비를
families, between the North and the South could erupt.
민주주의는
Communist forces in North Korea were ready to invade the South. However, democratic South Korea did not have the system to
북한을
defend itself against a North Korean invasion in a position
그러나 1944년에
unable to
독생녀가
overcome
탄생했고
and to surmount a North Korean invasion. The only begotten daughter was born in 1943, and in accordance with God's principle of creation, heaven needed to grant a numerical period of growth through which the only begotten daughter could reach maturity, so that of her own volition, the only begotten daughter could understand the providence and grow to maturity until she could take responsibility for the providence. Until the only begotten daughter reached this period, heaven had to protect her. And when we look at how the 16 UN member nations came swiftly to the defense of Korea, we can see heaven's handiwork. This is not the work of human beings alone.
그러나 하늘은
However, heaven
이 민족을 통해서
has worked through this people, giving birth to the only begotten daughter. And through the only begotten daughter,
하늘이 소원했던
heaven
승리한
has
인간 조상
yearned for the victorious human beings, the first human ancestors. And until the only begotten daughter could reach maturity, heaven needed to protect her and give her the requisite time.
이 얼마나 하늘이 6천년
How
고대하고
much has heaven yearned and waited for this time,
그 한날을
for this one day when true parents could emerge before all of humanity.
환영하지 못했습니다.
True parents were not welcomed amongst Christians.
6.25 동란을 거치고
And having endured the horrors of the Korean War,
재정비가 되지 못하는 상태였지만
at the time when Korea was still a nascent democracy, thinking about heaven's will,
주춤할 수 없었습니다.
I could no longer wait.
그리하여
And that is why
1960년에
in 1960 I ascended to the position of true parent.
타락한 인간으로서는
As fallen human beings,
하늘 부모님 앞에 나아갈 수
it is
없습니다.
not possible to return to God's bosom.
참 부모를 통해서
It is through true
다시
parents
태어났다
that fallen
하는
human beings can be born again by receiving the blessing and be engrafted onto God's lineage as God's beloved sons and daughters.
한없는 하늘의 축복이며
How
은사입니까?
extraordinary is this blessing and grace from heaven.
하늘 부모님의
Heavenly,
아들 딸이 될 수 있는 그 길을
the true parents have opened the path for all humanity to become God's beloved children through the blessing. And until true parents could bequeath this blessing, the path of the providence was tremendously difficult and arduous. And all over the world, hundreds of thousands and millions of blessed families have been born through true parents' blessing. Today, all 7.6 billion people around the world are still yearning for a world of peace, a world free from
노력하고 있습니다.
discord and conflict. However, the path to realizing a world of lasting peace is but one.
타락의 굴레를
It consists
벗어나야만
of
참
escaping from the cave of the fall, from the pit of the fall, and becoming true children of God who live in attendance to God as the heavenly parent.
참 부모는
And that is why true parents,
가정연합을 통해서
through Family Federation for World Peace and Unification,
참 가정운동을
true
전
parents
세계적으로
have been
펼쳐나가고 있는
expanding the
것입니다.
true family movement worldwide.
이 경원국은
The nation of Gyeongwon
우리가 잊지 말아야 할
must remember
유엔의 참전
the sacrifices of all the
남아있는 것입니다.
gallant men and women from the 16 UN member nation who came and shed their blood in defense of this nation. In particular, today, the ambassador of Ethiopia, His Excellency
이
Shipero
경원국
Shigute, spoke beautifully about Ethiopia's sacrifices. And we know that this is an area where battles were especially fierce during the Korean War. And today, to all the blessed families of the nation of Gyeongwon, I have a special request for all of you. Please
여러분에 의해서
love Ethiopia and
참 부모님을
testify
믿고
about true parents and the blessing movement,
에티오피아가 됨으로
so that
말미암아
Ethiopia can receive heaven's
하늘
blessings
부모님을
and
모시는
become
신
the heavenly Ethiopia that attends God.
노력해 주시기를
I hope that
부탁합니다.
you can be the blessed families who will bring to realization this great endeavor.
하늘 부모님의 꿈,
The dream of God, the wish of all humanity,
인류 한 가족,
is to realize one family
세계
of
76억
peace
인류가
and harmony under God.
모두
When all 7.6 billion people around the world
운동을 통해서
uphold family values and participate in true family values movements and receive the blessing, then we can usher in a world where there is no need for war, conflict, or discord.
이 나라가 당면하고 있는
We know that Korea is facing various challenges, including the great challenge of the peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula. But the way to realizing true reunification is not through political will
전
alone.
국민이
It is when all the citizens of this nation and all the
하늘 부모님을
politicians
모시는
all together unite as one and attend God in their lives, in their families, and participate in the true family movement.
대항할
Then
적은 없게
There is
됩니다.
no enemy this nation cannot overcome.
우리가 세계제 대전을 통해서
Through
1차
the First
세계대전을
and
통해서
the Second
많은
World
교훈을
War,
얻었습니다.
we have learned many lessons, precious lessons.
전쟁으로
War
들어가는 비용이
is
이루
tremendously
말할 수 없는
costly.
천문학적
the astronomical sums of money wasted through wars
그러한
can be used for the sake of peace.
돈을
When these funds
한 번에
that are wasted in conflict and wars,
낭비하는데
instead of wasting them on
그렇게 쓰여지는
wars that tear apart
그
families,
자금을
and destroy societies,
세계
when
평화를
this
위한
money is used for the sake of world
망가지고
peace,
있는 이
when
지구를
this money
회복하고
is used to preserve the environment which is being attacked every day,
잘 살고
when
못 사는
this
나라가
money
없는
is used to bring equality so that there is no high or low, no rich nation or poor nation, when all 200 nations around the world can all live together as brothers and sister nations.
살아가는 그날
When this day comes,
지상 천국을 향해서
then truly we will have taken a giant step forward towards the realization of the kingdom of heaven on earth. And I believe that the nation of Gangneung can take a great responsibility in making this ideal come true by spreading the blessing, by not forgetting the sacrifices of others for the sake of this nation, by living for the sake of others, by repaying and by multiplying the love and gratitude of all the citizens and all the blessings of true parents and God.
그날이 바로
That day will truly be a day when there is no war, a true day of peace, the day that humanity has yearned for, the day when we can realize a world of peace, a world of one family of humanity under God. And all of you gathered here today,
이제부터
please join me so that from today we can go out to the world with a message of peace, a message of love, a message of living for the sake of others. Will you do so?
나는
I
세계로 갈 수 있는
am
세계가 하나 될 수 있는
opening the path for humanity to come together as one.
환경을
I am creating
세계적으로
various
많이
environments
만들어
and
오고 있습니다.
foundations for the world to come together.
세계 평화 고속도로도
For example,
그 한 예입니다.
the World International Peace Highway is one example of
우리가
efforts to bring the world together.
우리를
When
보호하고
we only think about ourselves,
젊은 피와
there is no
땀을
future.
흘렸던
But when we think about
우리
the young men,
형제들의 나라에 대해
the young men from our brother nations who came to
갚아야
give their
하며
lives in defense of this country,
감사한 마음을
then with a
잊지
heart
말아야
of
할
gratitude,
것입니다.
let us not forget their sacrifices. Let us always remember that their lives were never in vain.
이 길만이
It
부모님이
is only
가르치는
by living for the sake of
위하여
others,
사는
it is only by following the path of true love
아시아
that
태평양 문명권
we
시대를
can
열었습니다.
really open and brightly lead the era of the Pacific Rim civilization of peace,
젊은
a time when
청소년들이
our young teenagers, our children
세계를
can
향해서
go into
나아갈
the
때입니다.
world and
그래서
share
오늘 나는
this message of peace. That is why on this auspicious day,
새 시대,
as
새 역사를
we usher in a
창출하고
new
있는 이
era,
경원국,
a new history is being made in this nation of
파랑산에서
Gangneung, from
봉화된
Parangsan, Parang Mountain, through the lamp that has the torch that has been
오늘
lit. May this fire of peace spread throughout the world from this moment.
일본으로
May this fire of peace go from Korea to Japan, to Europe, to Southeast Asia, to Oceania,
중남미로
to Latin America,
아프리카의
to
여러
Africa,
나라들을 돌아
to various nations of
이번
Africa,
12월에
and in December
미국 뉴욕에서
reach New York in the United States,
3만
where a 30,000
기독교
Christian clergy rally
개혁 목사들이 모여
is being held.
독생녀
And the only begotten daughter, true mother, will
하늘
be there
부모님의
to
꿈을
share
이루는
the dream of Heavenly
국가
Parent.
복귀,
Let us
세계
all
복귀를
realize
향해서
the realization
나아가게
of
되는
national restoration
결단을 하게
and the
됩니다.
restoration of the world. Let us make a firm resolve to go into the world.
인간의 힘으로는 할 수 없는 일입니다.
There is a limit to what can be accomplished with human effort alone. It is when heaven works with us that miracles are possible. For 6,000 years,
자식으로
how much has heaven
사랑하고
yearned
싶으셨는가를
to embrace humanity as his
알아야
beloved
합니다.
children, as his precious sons and daughters. We must remember this.
하늘 부모님의 한을
And
풀어드리고
let us
빠른
now
시일에
completely
76억
exonerate
인류가
the historical
지상에
pain of humanity
현현했던
and bring about
복생이여
the day
참
when
부모를 모시고
all
하늘
6.6
부모님께
billion
크게
people around the
영광을
world
돌려드리는
can
그
recognize true
한날을
parents.
앞당기는
And let us bring
여러분,
forward the day
영원국의
when the day
축복을
of peace around the
가정들이
world can be
부탁합니다.
realized. And this is my blessing to all of you, citizens of the nation of Gyeongwon.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much.